Thank you, Brother Meding, again. I want to just make one thing very clear, that we should not be confusing federalism with a number of states. Even if we have only 5 states in this country, if federalism is constitutionally addressed, as we know, there will be no problems. Regarding the number of states, you know, when we first went to the table in 2014, we as SPLM-IO then went to the table with 21 states, and the government went to the table with 10 states. We conceded everything that we had in mind back to the 10 states. We conceded to the government through the dialogues, and we were convinced that parties cannot create a state. A state should not be created by political parties. Creation of a state, and I cannot agree more with Honorable Enere Omai. You subject them to studies, scientific studies. It must also be a legislative process by the representative of the people in Parliament. And that is why we think we should go back to the 10 states, because in fact, Brother Meding, this agreement can fix South Sudan if we implement it the way it is. It gives our people the right to create a state even through permanent constitutional making. It is also during the constitutional making process, which is enshrined in this agreement, for the people of South Sudan to decide what kind of federalism they will have in this country. We will have a people-driven process where the aspiration of the people of South Sudan would be translated into a people constitution to govern this country. And this country must be governed according to the geopolitical environment. This ethnic federalism, that these problematic geopolitical boundaries among ethnic groups need to be abolished. Let us go back to the 10 states, and from there, we can process constitutionally and legislatively to establish the number of states we want and what type of federalism we should have in this country.
Thank you very much, and Honorable Maulana.
Yeah, the first thing I will to caution our people to is, or the political parties in general, is, you know, when the rift happened in 2013, the issues were different, were political, as somebody actually put it before. It was a political struggle. Now, it will do a disservice to the people of South Sudan if you try to figure out the type of system of government that they should have for the rest of their life while you are discussing a crisis, when you don't have peace. So I thought this matter should be deferred to when you have a peaceful country. And that was the idea, by the way, when we did the constitutional drafting of the current constitution. The idea was, let us have South Sudan, give South Sudan some time to come together as a nation, to build itself, to know themselves as a nation. Because before 2011, we were just a sub-state, that is a subunit of a state. So now becoming a state, we should have had some time to come together, build resources. After that, we think of devolving these resources and powers to lower state. Now concerning the issue of violation, yeah, I still stand with it that we are not following our laws, we are not following our constitution, because the transitional constitution gave only 4 years as a transition, okay? And after that, people of South Sudan were supposed to sit down and work out the best form of governance that they would need peacefully. And a body was formed, which is the Constitutional Review Commission. Now that body is redundant, and we are moving here and there. We have national dialogue somewhere. We have the talks are involved in these issues of what type of system of governance. So these are violations. We are not following our constitution. The other issue, even in that constitution, if I give you an example, Juba, if I give you an example, Juba in the transitional constitution of South Sudan is the capital of South Sudan. But today Juba is being run by UBEC. That is not constitutional. That is not constitutional. And because I'm living in Juba, not because I'm part of UBEC, but I'm part of South Sudan, of national capital. Now, like these issues of the state competencies, the issues of numbers, which has come out recently, people who are who have private vehicles in Juba here, like Minister Mula or whoever coming from a different state, will be asked to put something to indicate that you are in Jubek. That is not fair.
So there are issues to talk about.
Yeah, and issues of the Local Government Act, which was mentioned, by the way. Local Government Act also tells you how do you form the local government. It's not being respected. The elective bodies are being appointed up to now. So these are some of there are many violations that are happening. And if we don't strengthen these ones, then things will not go smoothly.
Thank you very much. Let me get a quick reaction, and then we are ending.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madingor. I should have appreciated you from the beginning for this initiative. You have always been a prominent media man. I want to say something which is important for us. We are in a quagmire. Quagmire means almost a problem which has no solution. We do not have the conducive environment to discuss on the system of governance. One, we are in conflict for power struggle. Now we are in conflict because of number of states. If our constitution says we are a decentralized state, then the issue of the states we have now have no legality. There should be no state, because we are a decentralized system. I want to tell you that we should go to what South Sudanese produced themselves. In 1976, we upgraded South Sudan from 3 provinces to 7 provinces. So we need to have a national government, a centralized government with 1 national government and 7 provinces. Let these people get on to rebuild the country, and we take the issue of federation to politicians and political parties until they agree on what form of federation and how many states, whatever it is. As we are now, we are in a fix. We are struggling, we are hungry, we are poor, and we are angry. So with these 3, we are not in a situation to genuinely discuss about federation, because it is associated with our own state, our own state, our own state. No, it should not be like this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this to me is the situation. We need to go to a centralized government where this government, particularly in the interim period, should be in charge of reconstruction of South Sudan, which we are not doing now. We say service everybody. We are not providing any services. Let us face it. And then let the politicians and parliament now discuss what constitution, what form of government. When they reach a conclusion, we'll organize a referendum. And the issue of numbers will not arise. The issue of power will not arise, because we shall discuss peacefully about how to run our country from central to federalism.
Thank you very
But
much.
if we have not agreed on federalism, let us continue with central government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mary.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. Let me pick it by starting disagreeing with my honorable and my teacher by saying that there's no legality of having the current additional numbers of state, because if we are a decentralized system of governance, this means that the Constitution has recognized other levels of government and the states are there. So I think it's the sensitivity about having more numbers of states. And this is something I think it's just criticized being a decision made by the government, because even the other political parties, take whether SAWA or the SPLM-IO, they are also calling for additional numbers of states. So I don't know why people are sensitive when it's only the government. Again, the concern, if we look to the the broad context of the federal itself, let's look to the experience from the African continent. I don't think we have that good records of experience of the federal system in all Africa, with exceptions of out of the 50 plus countries, say 54, the South Africa, Ethiopia, and Nigeria. And there was a question that was raised about what will be the criteria for having, is it the ethnic or the population? For one, I'm not seeing anything wrong with having ethnic-based, as long as we are keeping also at the end, if we go for federal system, because even it's critical at this time now to question whether it's federal is right or not, because it has been already decided, having it in the agreement, and the agreement is going to be supreme to the Constitution. But it is, I'm saying it's not, I'm not seeing anything bad with having states, for example, or administrative units that are based on ethnic groups, because we have other examples. For example, we have Ethiopia, or say Kenya. They have 42 tribes, 42 tribes and 47 counties. Those counties, even if you look to the population, if we are talking about population, some of them are dominated by the tribes according also to their population. Take the Kikuyu, one, to the Luo, and the Kalenjin and the Luo. So I'm not seeing a reason why when it comes to the context of South Sudan, people will always be negative about it. My issue is that, yes, copy and paste from other systems may not work, and that this is why I agree with the doctor when he said that we need to discuss ourselves. And the concept of federal itself, since the very beginning, it was not actually in 40s. Even in 1953, before the independence of Sudan, we got independence in 1956, but the South Sudanese politicians by then, they conditioned the independence of the country by having a federal system in South Sudan. So it has been a process that was led or owned by the elites, and this is where I'm saying, maybe we need to find a forum where we can educate and raise awareness about our people, about the federal system itself. They say that there are no many types of federalism, but there are different types of federalism, and there's no an agreement that we have an exemplary type of federal system. Each talk about Canada, you mentioned
merits
it.
And demerits.
Yes. So each context will have its own type that will fit it. And as South Sudanese, we need really to find what that time that will feed us, because even federal, is it dual one, the cooperative, or maybe the other type where the levels of the powers that are given to the people are different. If we look, again also we have the question of the parties to the governance system itself. We started before the differences. Look at from the very beginning, the SPLM, the SPLA, and the SPLM as the political wing. Now coming to when we divided the IOs and the IG, and now IGAD has opened the door that we have many political parties. Some of them have no agenda even. So coming to talk about whether the federal or the decentralized system, what will be the contribution of all these political parties, and it's something. Again, also with the federal system, we have also the issue of our cultures. You see, even before independence, for all Africa and South Sudan in particular also, we have our cultures where we have our traditional way, and there is semi also the autonomy there. So we need to discuss will this federal system continue also to recognize those power? And if the federal system is about power sharing and political decisions, so for some of us, especially those who have resources, I'm from Ruweng State, and we are one of the oil producing. And if you go now, nothing completely is there. I'm supposed to be the one even leading this process of calling for decentralization. But what for the federal system? We have nothing completely. In Nigeria, you see even the Ministry of Petroleum, the headquarters is located in the oil producing area, so that the staff and the people who are running the industry itself, they will feel the suffering, and they will be serious about bringing change to the nation.
Thank you very much. I have given you enough time because you are the only woman on the panel, but we are out of time.
Yeah, thank you. So in conclusion, I just want to say, let this, the concept of federalism, let it be owned by the people, not only by elites, and it's only based here in Juba. People don't know even what is federal, and people need to
it's
choose
not
and
up to
work
the
for
political
it.
parties alone. Thank you very much. And Honorable Minister, you have been waiting patiently.
Thank you very much.
Your reaction to the floor, and let's conclude.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope I will have enough time because there are so many questions from the floor and even from my colleagues in the panel here.
You don't have
First of all, it's the matter of timing. Is this the right time for us to have this debate? I would say yes, it's the right time to have this debate. Because when we took up arms to fight our oppressors, when we decided that we have to be independent, a sovereign state of South Sudan, which we attained in 2011, the next thing for us should have been what system of governance do we want to have? That opportunity was never given to us. We should have discussed and debated at that time that this is the proper system of governance. And we have chosen this. Perhaps we would have saved all the lives of our people who died out of bad governance since 2013. Now, that our people have asked for federalism in the agreement, it now brings us back to the debate. The debate which should have been held earlier is now being held at this moment late because of the agreement, but it should have happened. The right of self-determination. There are two rights of self-determination. First, the right to decide the future of the country, whether we want it to be with the Sudan or to be on our own. That is the external right of self-determination, which we did successfully, 98, 99%. The second, the right of self-determination is the internal right of self-determination for those who are doing law. Internal right of self-determination is to decide the system of governance in the country. And that is also a right. That's also a right. Cannot be denied. Nobody should deny it. No government should deny it. People should be allowed to determine what system of governance as an internal right of self-determination. Now, we are doing the second type. We have done the first, we are on the second. The next thing is, what is the difference between decentralization and federalism? This should be made clear. Decentralization means give and take. Give it and take it back. It does not remain there. So the central government can at any time give powers, give resources to the lower levels of government. At the same time, it can take it back as it happened. If you read carefully the Constitution of 2005 and the Constitution of 2011, in fact, more powers were given to the states in 2005. And in 2011, powers were taken from the states. And now you can see Article 101, R&S, which gives power to the president to dismiss elected governors, appoint caretakers, and maybe organize elections to fill those positions. It's not happening now, you see. All those elected governors, I think they have all gone, you see. So power has been taken, power has been withdrawn through the 2011 Constitution. In a federal system, as I said, there is autonomy. Where there is autonomy, there is protection. You cannot dismiss an elected governor. You cannot dismiss an elected commissioner completely because it is the people who elected them that can only remove them when they've lost confidence in their leaders. The right to elect leaders is the right of the people, and that is the meaning of sovereignty. Now, let me come to the benefits. Somebody asked the question, what are the benefits of federalism? Yes, there are several important benefits. I would say the first benefit is managing conflict. Right now, we are in a conflict. Why are we in a conflict? It's conflict over power sharing, conflict over resource sharing. And how will federalism resolve that? Yes, federalism will devolve powers and responsibilities to lower levels of government. So that power which is concentrated at the center, that power which makes people to fight for, is now divided and devolved. So there will be now many people chasing powers over the states. Some will come to Juba, some will go to the states. So this issue of one national majority will no longer be there. There will be several state or regional majorities. In this way of distributing powers, distributing resources, the struggle for power will disappear. It will bring peace. If peace means dividing power and resources, let's have it through a federal system. Let us not concentrate power in Juba so that people fight for it all the time. So peace will come. The second is to manage diversity. We are 64 ethnic groups. Some ethnic groups are big, some are small. And do we really, are we happy with each other? We are not, because others feel they're oppressed, others feel they're marginalized, others feel they're cheated. So in a federal setup, when you have autonomous entities, smaller entities, right from the county to the state and to the federal level, you will find that each grouping or community will have some degree of autonomy. And when you have a degree of autonomy to do your own things in your own area, don't you think you will be happy with one another? That you will now feel that everybody has something to do and not to struggle over one thing only. In that way, you will be contained. You see, it will contain these divisions. This fear of majority tyranny. Majority tyranny, you know, is the greatest fear now we have in South Sudan. How do we control majority tyranny if we don't give entities responsibilities with the resources to run their affairs? Again, federalism will allow people to participate in administration. We are sovereign. We are sovereign. What is sovereignty? Exercising powers by the people. People at the grassroots, people in the middle, people at the national level, they will be able to elect their leaders. They will be able to hold their leaders accountable. If you elect a bad governor, it's up to you. You have to dismiss that. You don't have to come running to the president all the time, dismiss this, that one is that one. No, no, no. It's your responsibility, is yours. You elect your commissioner, elect your governor, hold them responsible, hold them accountable, and in this way, it's participatory democracy. That is a benefit of federalism. And finally, when there is peace, when there is democracy, development will follow. That is automatic. People will now be concentrated in planning and developing services with sufficient resources developed. Everybody will be busy somewhere. And there will be equitable development in the country. Everybody will feel happy. There will be now roads leading to our villages. There will be electricity. There will be water. There will be health services. Why is it that we are denying our population all these services? Because we want to remain in a centralized system in Juba. Decentralization is centralization. Let me tell you, decentralization is centralization. And this was brought up by the colonialists when they came to rule us. All the powers were in the Governor General in Khartoum. And all those governors at the provinces were taking directives from Khartoum and reporting back to Khartoum. And we continued to borrow that bad system from colonial period until today, when we fought for independence and we still want to be under the old colonial rule. By the way, the world is moving. Somebody is saying federal is not popular. The world is moving popular. Federal. The world is moving. 47% of the population today is living in federal systems. Look at the most powerful countries in the world today. They are all federal. Look at America. Look at Germany. Look at Australia. Look at Canada. Look at where. In Africa, yes. Look at South Africa. Look at Ethiopia, by the way. The GDP of Ethiopia is 8%. And what is there in Ethiopia? If their GDP is 8%, their economy is growing since the war stopped in 1991 because they brought up a federal system.
Just a minute. On social media, some of the people are supporting what you are saying, and they are saying people should have a say in this talk about federalism. It is not up to the politicians. Others are also saying the institutions have a role to play, and John Akwak has just put a long comment there, but that is what it boils down to. As you wind up, there is a question of Kokora that has come forward.
Yes.
And people want a distinction between Kokora and federalism, or is it the same thing?
Okay, what we are doing today here, we are just beginning. By the way, this is the beginning of an exercise to reach to the people. Today is the first of its kind, and from here, when people are aware, we will reach them. This is to raise their awareness that we are coming. It is not going to be confined to this working group or the panelists or those in attendance. This is to tell them that the whole ball has been set rolling, and we are going to come, and they will all be involved. In the next 3 years of our transitional period, we'll be discussing exactly federalism until we choose the type of federalism we want. Now, the issue of Kokora, these are the fears. After talking about the merits of federalism, what are the fears of federalism? Kokora is a fear of federalism. You see, because what happened in 1983 was this division of southern region into 3 regions, Equatorial, Upper Nile, and Bahr Ghazal. And unfortunately, during that time, it was done out of anger, political anger. Then everybody was asked to go back to their ancestral areas. That is not federalism. There is no constitution that talks that everybody should go to their ancestral areas. Federalism is division of powers between the levels of government. It does not talk about people's movement, people's residence. After all, your residence, your movement is already guaranteed in the Constitution. The Bill of Rights clearly states that as a citizen, you are free to move anywhere and to live anywhere. That cannot be amended by anybody. That is a provision. It is a universal human rights provision. It is in our Constitution and will always remain in our Constitution. It has nothing to do with the federalism. Federalism is governance, scientific way of governing ourselves, organized way, through distribution of powers, through distribution, not movement of people, not residence of people. It's totally irrelevant, and I'm telling you that Kokora is dead history. My colleague Luca is here. We were together in 1983. What happened was political anger of the different groups because of bad administration as well, you know. And because of bad administration, people quarrel and people fight. And that, it took its time, it's gone. But now we are going to a better level of administration. We want to find a system that will keep each one of us happy and that will unite us. Unity in diversity. You know, we are looking for unity. Unity in diversity is better than imposed unity. Yes, federalism, by the way, federalism, it's 2H, I agree with somebody. You know, federalism is 2H. It can promote unity in diversity, very good. But if it is rejected, it leads to secession. And that is exactly what happened to South Sudan. South Sudanese were asking for unity of Sudan in a federal system. We would have been living with Khartoum today if they had accepted. They didn't. That is why we opted to secede, and we have done so. Would you like us to secede among ourselves as South Sudanese? And who is interested in secession right now? Is there any particular state that is interested in secession? Maybe people accuse Equatorial. Where does Equatorial want to go? I'm an Equatorian myself. Where do I want to go when I ask myself? You may be from Upper Nile, and the other one is from Bahr Ghazal. Is there any cause for us to cause alarm, unnecessary alarm, that we are going to divide? Ethiopia has a provision for secession in its constitution. Has any part of Ethiopia seceded? It has not seceded at all. So these are unknown fears. People are trying to dwell on. It doesn't help us. It will not make us grow forward. We need to move forward. Time is going. Countries are settling their problems. They're developing. You see,
we have to end somehow. And
yeah.
And let me ask my final question to you.
Yeah.
Can federalism fix South Sudan? Can you answer?
Yes, federalism will fix South Sudan because it will remove the element of struggling for power. It will divide, it will devolve powers to everybody. Everybody will participate. It will remove the element of concentrating power in one hand, whereby people have to fight for power, fight for money from one person. It will remove all these elements. It will definitely bring development. It will bring participation. It will fix South Sudan. By the way, do you know why people don't want federalism? Because they want to keep the power and money. If somebody is having money and power and you want to take from him, will he accept it? No, not. So
as you said, this is the start, and there are more opportunities coming.
Yes, sure. This is the start, and more opportunities are coming, and I hope you will give us more time than this.
And I have to thank you, and we have to stop here. And this has been an extraordinary discussion. I know there are many questions. There are more questions than answers. And next time, we hope we can amend this. Thank you to our audience on social media who have been following us live. And thank you to our panel. And thanks to you, and our panelists have been Honorable Richard K. Muller, the Minister of Federal Affairs, Honorable Mary Ayan Mijuk, Chairperson, Specialized Committee on Decentralized Governance and State Affairs, and a member of Council of States, Honorable Luka Manoja, former National Minister of Cabinet Affairs and a member of Parliament, TNLA, Honorable Justice Deng Byong, former Chairman, South Sudan Law Review Commission, and last but not least, Honorable Stephen Parkwall, SPLM-SPLA-IO Secretary for External Affairs and its representative to RGMA. Thanks to all of you, and 9th January, another discussion right now.